Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back, and this is another episode of my Monster Hunter Freedom walkthrough. And today we are hunting the Yian Garuga, so you really don't want to mess around with this quest, especially with how you currently are in the game. And for this I'm just showing you a few things that I'm going to be taking with me. Of course, the armor set that you are seeing and just now saw the stats on is mostly the Prey set, with the exception of the torso, which that's the Prey body. It doesn't really, it's not part of the actual set, I don't think, but it does allow you to have the Poison Negate skill, which is something that is highly recommended for this. Plus, it also has fire resistance too, so that's another thing that you want to consider having whenever you do this quest. You want to make sure to just be able to tank up a little bit of damage, but at the same time give yourself plenty of room in order to recover from it. And one of the things I also recommend is go out into the field, gather a bunch of honey, and make mega potions, because they can be a lifesaver in this. And so you will find the Yian Garuga in Area 10. I was kind of a dumbass and I thought Yian Garuga would be in Area 4. So as you can see, I'm going to be heading over to Area 4 first, and then I'm going to make a roundabout over to Area 10. Alright, with that out of the way, some of you might have seen that I have not completed the 3-star quests yet. There's a reason for that. They are the quests where you have to pick up and carry the egg object, the very heavy, delicate thing that will break if you're so much as attacked. I think that shit is needlessly hard. Just way too hard, so I'm deciding to say, fuck it, I'm not going to do those quests, because there's just no point to doing them, other than, I don't know, like, tickets for something. But aside from that, I don't think you need to do them. They're just way too goddamn hard. So anyway, we're gonna go into Area 10 here, and that's where we're gonna find this purple bastard. And ready your flash bombs almost immediately. And this is gonna be one of the first things that's really gonna help you with this, is you want to be able to give yourself an opportunity to attack, because as you can see, this monster, it's landing in a decent blow that's actually kind of hard. Every other part of this monster, except for the head, will make you bounce off. I think it's if you don't have blue sharpness. See, the Sentinel right now, the weapon that I'm using, has green sharpness, and it's still bouncing off this guy. And with that kind of armor on this monster's body, you really need a good weapon in order to land in a decent hit. So always try to aim for the head when you can. Another thing, the Sentinel, the weapon I'm using, of course, is a great sword, which is an upgrade from the Buster Blade path, I believe. You upgrade your Buster Blade to the Defender, and then to the Sentinel, and that does take quite a bit of materials, but you can just easily go off and get those. Just do like Attack of the Giant Bugs, where you have multiple ore deposits that you can go to. But of course, as you can see, even with all this stuff, this guy is going to be a hassle. He literally combines all the worst aspects of a Yian Kutku and a Rathian all in one hellish monster. I mean, good God, look at this guy. It looks like something that the devil shit out. And of course, if he's in rage mode, your traps will not work. He will set them off, but aside from that, he won't go into the trap, so you're essentially wasting it on him. Another thing too, that tail swipe right there, if you don't have an armor set with Poison Negate on it, make sure you have plenty of items that recover poison, because almost all the time, that tail, just by merely touching you, will poison. It is a real pain in the ass. And also another thing too, if you find yourself getting hit a lot and needing a lot of health, make sure you bring a bunch of Book of Combos, as well as items to make even more health recovery items. So like herbs and blue mushrooms, possibly some more honey if you're willing to go out and get them. Now, I haven't been playing this game for too long. In fact, I like the newer games better, because they fixed a lot of the problems the older games have, of course. But I don't think that there is a beehive on here. There could be, and I'm not just looking hard enough. But aside from that, you're usually having to go out and find the honey on your own, and that can be very tedious. Plus, there's not a whole lot of them, so they're kind of a rare commodity in a sense. So that will probably make getting mega potions a little bit hard. But for quests like this, it is totally worth it, especially since this guy can take out a lot of your health. In fact, don't expect that you're going to beat this guy on the first time around. In fact, the 20-minute timer there is just so you can do enough damage within the 20-minute time frame to make this guy run. Aside from that, there's almost no possibility of you beating this guy right now. And it shows. This guy is such a pain in the ass. And in fact, from the looks of it, he's already injured, possibly with a tango with another large monster, say the Rathalos. If that's the case, kudos to the Rathalos, because this guy is fucking irritating. Also, with this monster, you can break his ear, and also I believe his mane is broken too. He has a white mane, and his tail I don't think can be cut off at this time, particularly with the weapons bouncing off and everything. So don't bother with the tail. Concentrate all your attacks to the head. That's the key thing to doing enough damage to this guy. And one of the things that kind of surprised me too is the fact that the hitboxes are much better in this game than, say, Freedom Unite. The hitboxes in Freedom Unite were just god-awful. So I believe it is possible to get away with a lot of dodging. Just some of it might be a little bit luck-based and all. But, of course, remember to make sure that you guard on occasions, especially if you have an attack that you don't think that you can get in right away, or he's about to attack and you really have a split second to react. So always make sure you kind of have your finger on that guard button, because that can help you. Another thing, again, don't expect to clear this right away. Expect it to get carded at least once, because that usually happens. In fact, later on in this, you're going to see that I'm going to get taken down. But in my defense, not my fault. Okay, maybe a little bit. So the Yian Garuga, usually he starts off in area 10, and he can go into areas 3 and 4. He will often go in between 10 and 4, so just completely bypassing 3, but there are occasions where he will go into area 3. And also, make sure you have 3 books of combos if you plan on taking materials from multiple traps, just to be safe. Because it does take... Oh, kind of having a temper tantrum there. There, Yian Garuga. And he's, for some reason, leaving. I don't know why. But yeah, again, make sure you have plenty of book of combos, so that way you can get off your combination success rate. In fact, I found it out just before the recording for this, that, what was it? Damn it. Oh yeah, Mega Potions, apparently you require 3 book of combos in order to get off a 100% success rate. Something I found out the hard way. So I had to go off and buy a 3rd one. But of course, with that 3rd book of combos, you can greatly increase your chances of getting more pitfall traps, and possibly more flash bombs if you plan on getting materials to make more. Which that's probably a good thing to have too, is more materials to make flash bombs, because this guy has quite the temper, and he has kind of a difficult time holding still sometimes. And also, as you notice, I have large barrel bombs, even materials to make more, but I'm only using 2 here because, like the Rathalos and Rathian, one of the traits that this monster has is, well, fireballs. So it can make large barrel bombs kind of tricky to hold around, because he might just decide to blow them up. In fact, that's what he's gonna do here in a moment. Just gonna say, fuck yo barrel bomb, it's mine. See, there goes the barrel bomb. I have enough to make more, probably to make, what, 9 more at least? But I'm not going to. I thought it was a waste of time, especially with the limited number of traps. And that's another thing that you guys can do too, is if you do have a lot of materials to make, like flash bombs or something like that, you can go in while this monster is stunned, lay a large barrel bomb, and just try to blow him up that way. Which that's a pretty good tactic to use. I'm just using the all loved and, you know, absolutely best way possible, just running up and just slashing the guy's head. Complete testosterone filled right now. But that doesn't really mean much when this guy is very, very angry. Which, when he does get angry, direct assaults is probably not your best option. In fact, probably counterattacks would serve you a lot better. Like whenever he's going to turn around, or just after he's done with an attack like a fireball there, if he was in rage mode, get in, do a draw attack, and then just try to leave. And of course there's that backflip there too. If you thought the random tail strikes would just be a bother, that can be even worse if you're caught in it. That's a guarantee poisoning if you're hit by it, so make sure you definitely watch out for that. And of course, if you are poisoned by chance, and you don't have the armor set that I'm using, you can use antidotes or herbal medicine in order to remedy that. And I thought about it at first, like I was just telling myself, how the hell am I gonna fight this guy and not get my ass kicked? Especially with this early on in the game. When I saw the IO Prey set and the amount of defense it has, considering where I'm at and the fact that it negates poison, this is probably the best armor set that you're gonna need. And again, it's resistant to fire too, so that's a plus. But apparently not very resistant to tail strikes, as you can see there. That took about a third of my health. And it's nice to know that this guy is related to the Yian Garuga, because, well, I never would have guessed of the chicken-like behavior. But those fireballs, though, Jesus. It might actually be possible to kill this guy in this quest. I really don't know. I haven't done that before. Especially since this is a special quest. It's a very, very special quest with a very special monster. But, good God. And of course, since he has a roar like that, sonic bombs do not work on this guy, so one of the major differences between it and the Yian Garuga. Also, one of the many things that's very similar about it, because like the Yian Garuga, this guy's kind of hard to predict. As you can see, it can be calm 1 minute, and then angry, and then charging like a football player the next. And of course, you got the chicken reminiscent right there with the pecking at the ground. Always lovely. You know, people often like make fun of the Yian Garuga, but I don't think that they would make fun of the Yian Garuga that much, especially considering, like, if you compare riding a Yian Garuga and a Yian Garuga into like a battle or something, I think people would find both kind of disturbing, but I think that with a Yian Garuga, they would be running for the hills, because this thing just looks positively evil. And of course, as you can see there, the fireballs are really something to look out for, because it will often catch you off guard. And so the Yian Garuga is going to leave for Area 4 now. I'm preparing my last trap for this guy. Not going to make any more barrel bombs, of course. And if you can hear that right now, I'm not sure if you could. Dogs are barking outside, so apologies for that. So now we get into Area 4 here. Gotta check up at the skies, you know, making a nice little descent there. I did not place this pitfall trap directly under this guy, and for a very good reason, because just after it, you see the animation where my hunter is setting up the trap. Just right after it, he was blown back by the wind pressure. And if you placed the trap right under this monster, then that probably would have happened sooner. And you wouldn't have been able to get your trap up, and that would have just been a mess. So make sure you kind of plan yourself out here. And of course, oh, right there, right there. One of the few times you can actually dodge that strike from a Yian Garuga, or the roar. And of course, right here is where I get knocked out because, well, stunned. Not exactly my finest display, but I am kind of proud that I was able to roll through the roar, which that is hard to do. It's you have to have perfect timing with that. Just about with all roars where you don't have like earplugs or evasion up. Yeah, it's quite difficult to roll through, or evasion +2. I don't know if any of these exist in this game, because wow, the history I have with this game goes back all the way to the PS2 version, which from 2005, which back then I was about what 12, 13 years old, and holy crap, I did not know what I was doing. And that sort of carries on here. Like, I'm trying to figure everything out, but this game is very, very obscure. Not like the later versions that come out. That was probably one of the most annoying things that the Yian Garuga has right there, is the flyback and the roar, which I think you have to have high grade earplugs with this guy. I don't know for certain. Yeah, but if you noticed a little bit ago where I went from base camp to like area 10, I did that on purpose just to save a little bit of time. You're welcome. I don't think a lot of you would have appreciated just seeing the transition from camp to 1 to 8 and then to 10 first. I transitioned all the way to 10 just because, well, he could appear there. You never know. Again, if your weapon is bouncing off, try to recenter yourself before attacking again. But I guess one of the things I can recommend, a few people can disagree with me, if you find yourself bouncing off, but you find yourself going in for another strike, just do the strike, because I think every hit kind of matters with this guy, especially if you're like me and you don't really know how much you're doing to this monster, especially with this sort of time limit. In fact, I did a test run a couple months ago with this monster with this very same character back when I had the other armor set and my other weapon, and you do have to do a specific amount of damage or else you will fail this quest. And I found that extremely irritating, so I was, even now, wasn't really looking forward to this quest. And that little glitch right there, that was just my computer going into like a standby mode while I was recording, because I wasn't touching it, I was still playing the game. So I had to go in and, you know, wake my computer up, because, well, it was being a derp. And that's one of the annoying things I find about the Greatsword, is that even though it's strong, you have to have like perfect aim with this thing, or you're gonna have a bad time. Particularly when the only part you can really hit on this monster is the face. Like, the wings will make you bounce off, the tail will make you bounce off, and I think the feet don't, but considering that the head is, well, the weak point and will do the most damage if you strike there, the feet are kind of redundant. Especially with the Sentinel, I believe it's called the Sentinel or Centennial. I don't fucking know. But it, even though it does go into green sharpness, it does not have that much in regards to the green sharpness. So that's kind of annoying too. So it has a lot of yellow, which that's pretty good considering what I had before, which it had a bunch of yellow sharpness, but it would quickly go into red if, you know, not careful. See, imagine taking a blow like that if you had an armor set that was weak to fire. That would hurt. So yeah, thankfully the IO Prey, man, this thing was almost a blessing to do, or to get. It needs quite a bit of IO Prey materials. In fact, for the IO Prey body, you will need like I think 4 rubbery hide from the Gypstros, so the rubber chicken. But I really do like this set. It is very much worth it. But yeah, if you're using an armor set that's weak to fire and not that good in defense, I think the last one I had had 8 points per piece of armor. This one has 13. I probably would have carded all 3 times while recording. That would have been a hassle. Yeah, see, rolling around is your best friend, and of course, you do enough damage and you make the 20-minute mark, you will win this. And you can keep on fighting just for shits and giggles. I don't know why the Yian Garuga doesn't just up and leave, but, you know, who cares? Well, okay, he's doing it right now. In true Cut-Ku fashion. So yeah, that is the Yian Garuga. Again, don't expect to beat this guy at all. Don't expect to get out of this unscathed. And don't expect not to cart, because odds are you will. And aside from that, I don't think that there's anything else. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all again next time. Take care.